Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Motivate, Grind, Succeed podcast, which has the goal of improving your life in the 4 foundational cornerstones of faith, fitness, fellowship, and finance through practical tips and takeaways with every single episode. If you're new to the show, welcome, and I know you're going to get a ton of value from this week's episode. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. You know I missed you guys. Quick favor, though, to everyone who is listening, whether new or returning, if at any point in time in this episode you get some value, I ask that you share this episode with just one person, so that way we can share this wealth of knowledge. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into this week's episode. And we are talking about the statements that you need to embody. I'm talking about these things need to live in your head rent-free, guys. Rent-free. Put these statements in your brain. Put a Post-it note on it, just Post-it note, staple it in there. I don't care what you got to do. Put these sayings in your head and live by them. What are we talking about today with those statements? We are talking about first statement. The less you say, the more your words will matter. Second is what you focus on becomes the focus. Third is to not take everything so personal. And fourth is better to try and fail than to not try at all. So let's start off with point number 1. And that is that the less you say, the more your words will matter. You have 2 people, person A, person B. Person A talks a lot. Like they're just blabbering. They just going, just talking. They'll say, they might be the life of the party. They're cracking jokes. They're doing everything. They're getting everybody all happy, riled up. Everybody wants to be around them. And then you got person B, who's more introverted, a lot more to themselves. They don't say as much. They might be around the action, but if they were to slip into a crowd, you probably would maybe see them, maybe. But if they were to slip in and out, you would almost not even notice that they were there and gone. Now, thinking about these 2 people in mind, right? And you top person A, again, like I said, is the blabbermouth, and person B is the person who you hardly ever say anything at all. Who is the person with just that information alone? Who is the person that you are more likely to trust with some information? I'm talking some confidential, like bank account, right? Like, who are you more likely to trust with your bank account? I know you're not going to go share your bank account information, but just for the purposes of this example, who would you more likely trust with your bank account information? I'm trusting person B because that person didn't say anything. And with just the information given there, that person I already know is just the person who doesn't say much. So you could tell him or her whatever, and they're not going to go just blabbering to every single person that knows how to walk. Okay. That is the crux of what I'm getting at with this point number 1, is that the less you say, the more your words will matter, because people who say a lot less and they don't say as much as maybe their peers or their counterparts or whatever it is that they do say something, you'll notice a lot of times they'll tend to get more attention. People will listen to everything that they say. They're less likely to be cut off sometimes until they get their entire point across. And a lot of people really, really try to engulf what it is that they're saying, because usually a lot of times what they're saying is very wise. It's very thought out. And it's usually a very succinct statement that they said that really encapsulates and really got you thinking. Think about that. The last time you were in a group setting and somebody who didn't say a lot eventually said one thing, when it was maybe a debate going on and one person said one thing, and that really got everybody thinking about it. And it really quieted down everybody. Everybody started really thinking about it. And it was really difficult to even almost poke holes in that or to argue against whatever they said, because it was so well put together. That's what I mean when I say the less you say, the more your words will matter. Am I saying be less extroverted if you're extroverted? Not necessarily. Am I saying if you're introverted to stay introverted? Also not necessarily. All I'm saying is that you need to be cautious of what it is, of how much you say, because the more that you talk to other people subconsciously, even though you're going to be like the life of the party and the great person to talk to and everything, when it comes to more serious matters, they might be less likely to tell you stuff. Just something to keep in mind as you're going throughout life, and that it's always best to err on the side of not saying much. It's always best to err on that side from my personal experience. Second point, what you focus on becomes the focus. This is I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is a very common example. The glass half full, glass half empty. We focus on the glass being half full in whatever scenario or situation that you're in. You're going to focus on the good. If you focus on the glass being half empty, you're going to focus on the bad. This is not to say be vain and then just see everything through a positive lens, or be vain as well and just see everything through a negative lens and ignore the opposite side of the spectrum. That is not to say that. That is to simply say that whatever it is that you are focused on becomes the focus. Let's say you're running out of money for the month, right? You are in an unfortunate situation, and I'm sorry if you are, living paycheck to paycheck, and you don't know how you're going to make these next bills coming up tomorrow or whenever it is that you're listening to this episode. If you're focused on, oh my gosh, I can't pay these bills. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. I can't pay these bills. And you're freaking out. You're not leaving enough room in your mind to be able to focus on making a solution. If you accept the fact that, okay, I have $500 in my bank account and I need $1,000 to be able to pay the bills for the rest of the month, how am I going to get that $500? That is now the focus. How to get the $500 instead of, oh my gosh, I can't find $500. I'm not going to be able to make these bills. You see the difference? That's what I'm talking about. Because the second person who decided to say, well, I need the $500, I don't have it, how am I going to get it? They accepted the fact that they do not have enough to make the bills and make the payments for the rest of the month. But they're not focused on the fact that they can't do that. They're focused on trying to come up with a solution. That is what I'm saying when I say what you focus on becomes your focus. Number 3, and this one hits real close to home because I can make, again, an entire episode on this one just alone. And it's to not take everything so personal. Like, oh my goodness, man. Oh man. I'm going to really try to hold back on this one because, man, guys, like, this one should just speak for itself. Like, you guys really, really need to have thicker skin. And if you're the person right now saying, well, I don't take everything so personal, I don't know what do you mean you have to have thick skin? You're the exact person I'm talking to right now. Okay. Because, guys, you cannot take everything so personal. Like, really, someone says one thing and then you think that they're attacking you. Like, and here's the thing. And even if they are, as I've said before in prior episodes, and if you check the Instagram reels that I put up, which are also some YouTube shorts that I put up as well. If you let somebody have that much emotional control over you, again, this is going to be like word for word what I said in a previous episode, you are literally a pawn in their chess game. You are being emotionally manipulated, therefore meaning you are in that person's back pocket. If you're taking everything so personal and getting emotionally riled up just because they said one thing about you, you're going to let it affect you that badly that this person literally has you in their back pocket. Think about that. If you take things that personally, someone said one comment about something, I don't even know what it would be about. Someone said just a random comment, and you're going to decide to say, oh, I'm going to give this person a piece of my mind. Well, that piece of mind's gone now. You gave someone a piece of your mind, so now your peace of mind is gone. Man, I should put that on a t-shirt. I just came up with that right there. I'm going to say that one more time. You decide to give someone a piece of your mind, so now your peace of mind is gone. Because now you are riled up, you want to give this person something to make yourself feel better, and now you're in a debate, a debacle, an interaction that is unfavorable between two different parties here. And now, like I said before in many, many episodes, from the outside looking at you two arguing, or you three, or whatever's going on, it just looks like two upset people going at it. From the inside, you're trying to give them a piece of your mind, but from the outside looking in, it now just looks like, oh, these are just two upset people arguing. They can't tell the difference. They don't have any context. That's just what it looks like from the outside. So don't take things so personal. Literally just hear it and let it bounce off. And this is not an easy thing to do. Okay, so don't get me wrong. This is not an easy thing to do. This takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial, and something that I'm still working on myself. So don't think I have this 100% down, but I can tell you for a fact that if you do work on this and you do significant work on this and you really, really try to really really not take everything so personal, I guarantee you, your life will be so much calmer. You're going to pretty much take on a whole new attitude of, you know what? I don't really care. You said what you said. Okay. Okay, cool. And you're really cool. You're actually cool. You're not just saying, okay, cool, because you're just trying to, get them off your skin or anything. And you're just trying to say that because, you just want to get them out of your hair. You're actually cool. You really don't care about what they're saying about you because it's just trying to get a reaction out of you. And if you are unable to get a reaction out of, now you're not manipulated emotionally. This person doesn't know how to get you or get underneath your skin. So that makes you what? That makes you stoic. That makes you immovable. People don't know how to mess with you, so they don't mess with you. Point number 4, because this episode's starting to get a little bit longer here, so we're going to go ahead and start wrapping it up here with point 4, and that is better to try and fail than to not try at all. This is a different wording of the statement that I heard from a previous guest we had way back. And that is that sloppy success is better than perfect mediocrity. Sloppy success is better than perfect mediocrity. And honestly, that's even assuming you can get to quote unquote perfect mediocrity, because there is no such thing as perfect. Right? There is no such thing that we people can create that is absolutely 100% perfect. There is nothing. But it is better to try, as I said right here, and fail, right? As you'll hear a lot of people say online too, it's better to fail fast and fail forward than to not fail at all. Because if you're so crippled by failure and you're just so afraid to fail, what are you going to be able to truly do that will actually make an impact in people's lives? As I've said in many episodes before, and I've said with a couple guests as well, I have done a couple ventures before this podcast. I have done YouTube. I did drop shipping through eBay and through my own Shopify website. So I have that knowledge of how those things work, right? I did all those things. I even tried doing the whole like reposting lo-fi music to YouTube and everything. That was a whole different thing besides the first YouTube story, right? I've done a couple of things in the past to try to do those things, and all of them failed, but at least I learned things, right? From the first YouTube channel, I learned, okay, reaction videos aren't my thing. From the second YouTube channel, I learned that, okay, me just doing YouTube in general, just like me trying to come on and repost videos and doing things like that, it doesn't fulfill me, right? And me doing drop shipping was realizing, well, I'm not really serving a need. I'm just kind of doing this kind of just to make a quick buck, right? I'm not really doing this to really give back and serve a need. I'm just doing this because I'm broke. So that didn't really work at all either. So I needed to find something that fulfilled me and that I could do long term. And that if it makes money, it makes money. Great. That would be fantastic. But the thing is that it needs to fulfill me first. And so that is where the podcast was born. And so now that's why I've been doing this now for over 2 years now. And I'm still going on strong. And then every time I can make a new episode, I'm feeling just as excited as I did from episode 1 to make a new episode. So better to try and fail, like I said with the other examples that I had before, than to not try at all. Because if I had not tried anything, I had not tried the YouTube, I had not tried the drop shipping, I had not tried then YouTube again, I had not tried this podcast, how would I have known what there is for me to be able to do, or what I could do that I could enjoy, if I never tried? And were there failures in the podcast? Of course, obviously there were failures in the podcast. I'm still doing minor failures in the podcast as well. There are so many things going on behind the scenes of this podcast that I'm trying and failing and trying and failing and seeing what works, what sticks and what doesn't stick, right? So much stuff goes on behind the scenes, but it's, like I said, it's better to do them, try them out, see how they work. If it just doesn't work with the workflow, it doesn't work where I really want this podcast to go, then we just drop it. Then I know, okay, it can work. I've tested it. It can work, but it won't work for me. And that's the key thing I want you to get away from this, is that you have to try a lot of things to figure out, and you'll see, well, a lot of these things work, because obviously if it didn't work, people would not be promoting it. But you have to find out what works for you. And the only way to do that is to try and fail, try and fail, try, maybe a little traction, but to realize, it's not quite my thing. I don't feel fulfilled. So that can technically be called a fail. And then try and fail and try and fail and try and ding, 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 ding. Oh, we found the one. We found the one. It could take a couple months. It could take a few years. There's no time frame on this thing, but you have to keep trying and trying and trying. And that's what I got for you today, guys. Before we close out, we're going to go through these 4 statements one more time that I want you to embody. Number 1, the less you say, the more your words will matter. Number 2, what you focus on becomes the focus. Number 3, don't take everything so personal. Number 4, better to try and fail than to not try at all. And guys, that is what I have for you this week. We are going to bring this week's episode to a close. Thank you so much for tuning in today, as always. And before you go, guys, I do have 2 quick requests for you before you go, and I promise you it's only going to take you like less than 2 minutes to do. Number 1, subscribe or follow the show if you found it useful, and be on the lookout for new episodes every single week, guys. Every single week. And number 2, follow me on social media. All the socials will be in this episode or in this video's description, wherever it is that you're listening to this episode. Guys, that's all I got for you. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all next time.